Hey guys, I'm an author. I wrote a book. Have you seen it? The title of the book that I wrote is Dear Me, She Was Never Your Friend. And this book is, a very sensational, emotional book that is birthed from my real life experience. And I'm going to put the link down below. So if you've not seen the book, read the book, check it out. This book is dear to me because, like most of us in our adult journey, have experienced different levels of friendship problems, friendship breakups, friendship betrayals, friendship separations that, a lot of people don't get to talk about, but it's a real experience. It creates real painful memories for some people, and we need some kind of support. In my case, I wouldn't tell you all of the story because I want you to read it from the book, but I'll give you a little synopsis of it. I had a lifelong friend, and trust was broken a few years ago, and the relationship did not end right there and there, because it was a friendship of much comfort, much convenience, a lot of time and sisterhood had been invested into it. And even though the trust was broken in a way that I knew we could never get back to wholeness, I wasn't upfront about it. And so I held back in so many ways, and continued on with a facade of a friendship, but deep down were cracks and wounds and different things. And 4 years, I believe it was 4 years after that initial break of trust, something else happened that revealed to both of us, my friend and I, that we were on borrowed time the entire time. I believe she was blindsided. I wasn't, because the break of trust was within me. I mean, she knew about how I felt, or an extent of how I felt. Now, that is the basis of the story. Because of that experience, I started to ask myself so many questions. Why didn't I have the courage to talk about the extent of the hurt at that time? And that's why the chapter was birthed. I needed to be needed, the different things. I confronted my fears. This that experience made me to self-reflect, because I say this: whenever there's a problem, the best way is if you can take accountability. If the problem is only you just saying they did, then you're not really ready to learn the lesson that was meant for you. So in all of this book is about my self-realization and the things that I learned through that experience. And then I also included the stories of different women who talk about the experiences of friendship breakup and the heartbreak that resulted when a long lifetime friendship breaks. Now, there is PTSD when, a close friendship comes to an end. And PTSD, I use that term very lightly, without, of course, throwing shade on those that have the actual post-traumatic stress disorder. There is PTSD when that kind of long-term relationship comes to an end. There is the fear of committing, or the fear of accepting other people, and the fear of just opening up to different kinds of relationships, just because, once one kind of relationship, as the one I just described, ended, it's broken off with pain and, sometimes resentment, sometimes anger, sometimes, the whole negotiation with the grief process that happens with, once a close, dear relationship ends. I talk about that in the book. So if you'd like to know more, I really also want to hear about people who have had a long-term friendship come to an end, and how did you experience it? How did you navigate it? How did you get over it? It took me a very long time, very, very long time to get over it. So how did you get over that? Because it's difficult. People openly grieve divorce. People openly grieve death. But then how do you openly grieve for someone who's still alive? People around you or people around me were like, get over this, it's about time, you can't keep talking about, not everyone, but there were people that said that. And then there were people also like my family and friends who stood by me and allowed me to just vent it all out. They stood with me throughout that long time for me to get over it. But anyway, it's a book to read. I am so convinced it's going to help. It's going to validate some of the feelings that you're feeling, especially if you have experienced a friendship breakup.